I'm asking this not just as a polite routine question, but back in 1989, after you had suffered a minor stroke, your cabinet requested that you resign for reasons of health, they said. Well, some 15 years later, many clods have fallen on many coffins in many cemeteries, and here you still are.
Yes, by the grace of God, I'm still around.
And how are you feeling?
No, I don't feel bad, and I'm still quite good health, and I'm looking forward for the rest of the life to continue with my activities.
Did you feel then and now that you were unfairly treated by the cabinet? And were there ulterior motives behind persuading you to resign? I read somewhere that you had said to them that you at least had a certificate proving your health, while they did not. And you wondered how many of them had pills in their pockets. So, Mr. Botha, was there something sinister behind it all?
After the so-called light stroke, I requested the man in Pretoria, Dr. Meiberg, he was the head of the Medical Institute. I requested him to come down here to Wilderness with his instruments and come and examine me. And after he stayed here for 2 days, he said, I don't agree with the light stroke idea. Go on with your work, you're in good health. I stayed then in Cape Town, in Rondebosch, as president, and only in August of 1989 did the showdown take place at that specific cabinet meeting.
So why did the cabinet meeting take place? Was there something sinister behind it all?
According to those minutes, Mr. de Klerk and a few other members of the cabinet were cooperating with each other to tell me that they think I must go.
You think Mr. de Klerk at that stage had the ambition to become the next president?
I think so. I think so.
During a break in the interview, Mr. Botha showed us some of his memorabilia. The cannon was a gift from the Defence Force in commemoration of the 14 years he spent as Minister of Defence. He regarded those years as the best in his life and was extremely proud of the strength of the Defence Force.
We were respected by the Defence Forces of France, Great Britain, and even Israel. And Israel has a good Defence Force.
Why did you think we needed such an incredibly strong Defence Force?
To a certain extent, we introduced national service to train young men in various directions of life. And secondly, we had to protect our borders and from terrorism. And thirdly, the Defence Force inspired the nation as a whole.
There are those who say that the need for a strong defence force had to do with P.W. Botha's obsession with what he called the total onslaught against South Africa. So I asked him how serious the onslaught actually was.
It wasn't an obsession on my part. I had advice by several senior officers in the Defence Force and strategists in South Africa, and that they advised me that taking into account the actions of Russia and Cuba and some of the Western nations, there was an onslaught against Southern Africa, not only South Africa, but Southern Africa, including Rhodesia and the Portuguese territories. And That total onslaught had to be dealt with by way of opposition on our part, or positive actions to try and convince people that this onslaught is dangerous.
We invaded Angola in support of Dr. Jonas Savimbi. Was that necessary?
We had an agreement on military intelligence part with the CIA that we would mine, they would mine Luanda Harbour while we helped Savimbi to attack the forces, the MPLA forces in Luanda. Well, there the actual cooperation took place. And eventually, with things rapidly moving from one day to the other, the American Congress decided that President Ford would not be allowed to mine further the Luanda Harbour. Then the Cubans were brought in by Russia. And we fought the Cubans.
Mr. Botha, did we not eventually actually drop Savimbi? I remember former Foreign Minister Pik Botha promising Savimbi at a huge rally in Jamba, and only after he had asked me to switch off my television cameras, that South Africa would support UNITA all the way into Luanda. That never happened, and why not?
What happened was that the decision of the American Congress, took that fatal decision to prohibit President Ford to carry out his promises. Kissinger played a role in the whole affair. And afterwards, Dr. Kissinger came to Pretoria and he apologized to me for not having carried out his promises.
Did he explain why?
Well, he said the Congress decided that way. I said, well, you left us in a lurch. Don't hide behind the Congress. You know that you didn't carry out your promise. And then we decided to withdraw our forces southwards. And we then advised Savimbi to fight guerrilla warfare.
In his book on extracts from P.W. Botha's speeches, Scholz quotes a 1988 address to the House of Assembly in which Mr. Botha says,
"It is unfortunate that Americans have one set of rules for themselves and another for other people."
In fact, back in 1979, he also lambasted the West, declaring,
Is it not a fact that of the concept the West as we knew it in the past, as countries that were characterized by honorable government and a fixed course of international affairs, almost nothing remains? There is no counter-strategy. There is a shuffling and a stumbling from one blunder to the next. The West is being ousted from all over the globe.